Alright, welcome to episode 35 of History Rewritten. Last time we saw the Green Team have a big war. There was colonization of Australia, pretty obviously. The Indians fully colonized Indonesia. War in Central Asia. And about shit, really. So yeah, we're kind of continue along that trend. But today we're going to be going right over to Eastern Europe as we did last time. Actually, I completely forgot about that. But instead, we're not going to be having a war, as the Orange country is formally going to be moving their capital. Now, you might be able to realize that there's a lot of capitals just lying around that I haven't demoted. And I kind of need to do that. However, oh well. So the Orange team are finally going to move their capital from this random lakeside city to this one right where St. Petersburg is, because it's now much more powerful economically, and it just makes an awful lot more sense to have it right over here. So that's where it'll be. Here is their new capital. So they have like 3 major cities, so they're still not very strong. Anyway, let's stay over here as we move on to the Sludge team. Now, the Sludge team, they are once again trying to reform their empire. I feel like this has happened quite a lot. But this time they're going to war with the Grey Country. So the Grey Country, pretty long. There's a major city in the south, a major city up here. Not much going on in the central bit, which leaves a great place for these guys to invade. So the Sludge team are really eager to get on this industrialization thing. More and more countries are kind of joining this movement. I mean, they're really powerful countries, so you don't really need to be expected to industrialize. However, they want to, because they like industrialization. Anyway, pretty quickly they managed to separate the entire 2 major areas of this country, as they slowly wind their way closer towards the capital. The soldiers weren't entirely prepared to go to war with these guys. I mean, they were kind of on it, but most of them were up here, so when they started this invasion, they kind of just were caught off guard. So by the time they'd made it round down here, they'd already linked up with the Swedish colony, who isn't getting them anything, but I mean, they just got to that side. So a stalemate kind of occurred up here. The Sludge team troops are pretty tired after their previous wars. So the front down the south, which is slightly easier, will they'll just focus down on that and hold this front. They manage to take the southern part of the country, then move north and capture that. So let us have a look at this peace treaty. Will it be peaceful? That's the question. So the Sludge team is going to fully annex this random Kaliningrad sort of country. They've owned Kaliningrad for a while now. The Sludge team, I think, had it, of course, quite a lot of history, and they finally got it back, so that's good for them, I suppose. And here are the new borders of the Sludge team. They look slightly Sludge teamy, to be honest. They look quite a lot like the old Sludge team, so that's nice, I suppose. Anyway, we're just going to travel a slight bit westwards, as within the Pink team, certain groups are kind of feeling like they'd like to leave. Only really one. But these guys, they've had these borders for a while. They've been here for an exceptionally long amount of time, ever since the first Sludge Empire collapsed. Then these guys kind of went, nope, we're not staying with this country. They gained some land from the Sludge team collapsing again, and some other wars with like that other Swiss country that was here, and stuff like that. Anyway, a region within the north of the country will claim its independence from the rest of it as it breaks away, and they don't do much to stop this. They kind of go, right, fine then, you have your independence, and see how you like it. Take that. So they are over here, and what was the colour of this pink country? Was this right? Was it that right? Yeah, it is, right. Oh, I've just removed the old country from existence. I will just draw these borders slightly different. I feel like this doesn't look as good as it did before. I don't like that. I want before it looks so nice. Oh well, there we go. So I suppose I'm going to live with this now. It's not the worst. But yeah, the pink country has slightly fallen apart. It's pretty close to the capital as well, so there's some obvious discontent over there. However, from the pink country, we'll move slightly south, as the brown country and the red country have been beating, and a war will begin between these two really poor countries. They both only have one major city, that being their capital. I think it was only this one over here that had two, and now they're gone. So the red team will try to start a front line, however that will pretty quickly fall apart, as the brown team begins to be able to threaten the red team capital. They make their way along the southern area of the country. And it's kind of not looking good for the red one. Even the orange country kind of feels like they might like join this war, as the red country is surrounded by brown team forces. However, that leaves them out of the country as the Swiss one invades the south, taking the entire southern region of this brown country, and now they can start to move up. Certain regions that were previously under the control of the brown country fall away as the Swiss troops move up here, and also like the brown teams just leave. Sorry. So the Swiss continue their advance northwards, and finally they meet up with the red team troops who manage to purge the entire brown team army from their territory. So finally troops from the red team and the Swiss country, who really aren't that powerful, manage to take this northern area, and then finally take the capital and end this conflict. So let's have a look at this peace treaty. It costs these countries so much to go to war. Like, it's a crazy thing. They even went, let's go do this. So the red country annexed this province, this one over here, and the one with the capital, so they're pretty happy with that. Whilst the Swiss will take lots of the southern areas where there's not much really. Not great. However, both these countries are now very long. Once again, long Switzerland. And there is our new borders of the Swiss, Austrian sort of area. I don't know how to describe it. Anyway, we've got quite a lot of European things happening in today's episode, as we move once again down slightly to the purple team, who, I mean, just look at this world. It looks very imperial, doesn't it? There's a lot of empires in the world. The purple team would like to have their own, however, they're not quite strong enough. I mean, like, they do kind of have an empire, but they're not on the same sort of level as all these other colonial powers. And they're even weaker than countries like Greece, and probably about as strong as Crete, though probably weaker actually. So they're going to try and find an easy way to make a colony, and they discover an area where it's pretty good. So they go out through the Strait of Gibraltar and head down south. And they come across these islands, completely uninhabited. It's the Cape Verde Islands, and they'll be making their newest colony right there. So, the purple team have actually made a new island colony off of the coast of Africa. However, this has got a certain neighbour to the north, very jealous. You know, they don't like the idea of the purple team pulling ahead in terms of economic growth, and just the economy in general, and it looks kind of like the purple team might be able to do this at the current moment, so they're going to try and make their own colony off of the coast of Africa. However, islands off the coast of Africa, there's not many left up for sale. Except for these ones, although they're not for sale. They're not for sale. They are owned by the Moroccans. Which kind of means that if you want to get those islands, you have to go through the Moroccans. But you wouldn't attack Morocco in the name of getting some islands because you don't like the South Italians, would you? So, the North Italian country will declare war on Morocco as they're going to send their forces over here. They're saying, like, oh, we're trading with the purple team's islands. But they put them over here and then take this island. So, the Northern Italian troops will manage to capture this island, they declare war, and they'll set up their base of operations here. So, the Moroccan Navy is being sent out over here, but the Northern Italian Navy is kind of all along this bit. So, naval front lines look a bit like this, probably. And if you imagine, this is in northern Italy. So yeah, and this is going to lead to the northern Italians invading this sort of northern coast of Morocco. That doesn't go amazingly because Morocco is not exactly that weak. They're not very strong, but also not incredibly weak. So although they try to capture some areas along here, it completely fails. But it does manage to distract the Moroccans from this area, as they manage to capture another couple of islands in the western side of this archipelago, which is the Canary Islands. By now, they've decided to invade a different area of Morocco, as the troops come in to Morocco and make a landing right on the coast over here. And yeah, this is pretty bad for the Moroccans, as it looks like the northern Italian country is threatening one of their major cities, which they are, and they take that major city before advancing further south. They don't really go to the desert at all, but it draws a lot of Moroccan troops away from these islands, so they can pretty quickly pick them off until there's just these two left, with the forces down here in the south, and the northern Italians will keep trying to ascend northwards to threaten this major city. So eventually that manages the Moroccans take their forces from these islands, the northern Italians capture them, and yeah, they're not very interested in this bit. It would rebel very quickly away from them because they don't have the forces to occupy some random Moroccan colony. And you know, the blue team has some interests in Morocco, though they're not in an alliance together. They do have some interest over there. Also, like, blue team alliance consists of the incredibly powerful Catalonian country, who has, as you can see, pretty large sort of west coast South American colony. I was going to say nation, but no. The blue team is the leader of this alliance. They have their own colony in Uruguay, and they're just a very powerful country. From there is Libya, which is not very powerful. The Egyptians, who they're probably average, maybe slightly below average, and then beyond that you have the Ethiopian country, who is slightly above average, I would say. There's a lot of people, they're pretty strong, and the other major ally is the Indian country. So, yeah. Sorry, I didn't drink much water before doing this. I was kind of like, let's make a video. Wait a minute, hydration. Oh well. Who cares? I nearly didn't have to. Oh well. So, yeah, I'm going to have to find the Moroccan colours again. Literally nothing has happened in Morocco for an extremely long amount of time. So I haven't had to do this for a while. But unfortunately, something's actually happened within Morocco, and I have to find their colours. 125 and blue to 96. Alright, so there's Morocco. They managed to annex those two areas back into their country. However, they lose all of their islands, and the purple team's kind of just like, dude, is it really that bad that I annexed some islands? And you went to war with some random African country. And they're kind of like, yes, it was completely justified in what we did. Like, that was fine, made sense, you know. Going to war with Morocco over a couple of islands. Good idea. Anyway, northern Italian country. Right, cool. I found the colour. I believe. That's right. Cool. So they have a new colony down here. They don't really have any colonies, so I suppose this is basically their first colony. I'm just going to cover the islands in. I think you can see that, kind of. I want a giant box over there. I mean, I have a giant box over there, but who cares? Nothing. Anyway, so let's do some more colonization. Why don't we? Australia is a pretty major thing in the world at the moment, and people are kind of pretty interested in colonizing this giant load of sand. So the Chinese will increase the size of their colony as they move further into this deserty peninsula. Great. A lot of fun. The Koreans will do a similar sort of thing as they move further south into a deserty chunk of northern territory. Great. The Terracotta Nation will kind of, I don't know if they really want a board in the Lime Team, judging by the actions the Lime Team committed on the last episode. However, the Lime Team will force them to as they move down to the border of the Terracotta country's colony, and they move further into the central areas of Australia. So that is the Lime Team. Yeah, the Lime Team stuff, it's still not quite peaceful. A new country will start the colonization of this semi-continent area. They make a pretty weird boxy colony over there, and I'll reveal them in a second. But we also have the Irish increase the size of their colony, like probably at least by 3, but it doesn't seem that huge. And another pretty unexpected country making a landing here in Tasmania, that being the Breton country. As for the other country, it's one of the ones where I have to get the annoying colour up, which means it's Morocco. No, it's the Iberian purple country. I don't really know what you expected. It was probably going to be them, because they're an incredibly powerful country. They are number 3 in the world, the Iberian purple country. After that, it is Terracotta, the Terracotta country, who is leading technologically, but not economically. Is this right? No, it's not. Cool. There we go, right. I just got the wrong Chinese colour. And the Koreans as well, just a load of sand. Things have kind of been alright in Korea recently. The colony they've got, bringing them lots of money, like improving their relations with neighbours, except for Japan, who they don't really like, because they were pretty good friends with that southern Japanese country, the dark blue one, and then Japan kind of got rid of them last time, which made them pretty annoyed. Also, Japan's kind of going, hey, give us that bit over there, but these colonies will not hand over their northern Japanese colony. The Indian country now. Yeah, they've not stopped in their aggressive actions against other countries. That is still going on. And it's not really getting any better. Because now they're moving into, I mean, they're already in a lot of their allies' countries. But they're keeping like a constant thing there. They're not leaving lots of those places. There are now constant Lime Team troops within China, India, their Lime Team sort of ally, whatever that place is called. I'll probably just call it the Lime Team Influence 1, I believe. So we have the British doing some stuff down here in New Zealand. Let's not forget about that. So that is their new colony. But yeah, so there are now constantly Lime Team troops in like Ethiopia, China, Lime Team Influence 1, the Orange Team to an extent, the Yellow Team definitely. There's like just a load of people in the Yellow Team. Right now, Lime Team military people. It's just such a high population, they can afford to have troops all around the Indian Ocean, just because they have so much influence, so many people, so much power. 170. So Iberian Purple Country have made another colony. It's be interesting to see how we divide up Australia. I'm pretty excited. We'll have to find out. Anyway, let's go all the way over here, because the Catalonian country is going to be making another pretty huge colony, as they take it upon themselves to go to the Pacific, in which they find a load of tiny islands. So let's join a load of these tiny islands together under one pretty ginormous colony. So there you go. That is the new Catalonian country's colony. It is massive. They are going to have a lot of land, not land, just fishing rights. I don't know what I was trying to get at with that, but you know, that it's going to look like they've got a lot of stuff on a map. And all the world is basically explored now. All of the coast of Africa is explored, not the interior, but they're getting there. I remember. Is this right? I believe it is. Is not right. 25, that's what it was. Sorry, yeah, nice new colony for the Catalonian country. Big old box on the world map. As you can see, the colonial powers are really dividing up the rest of the world at this point. There's not too much left to be divided. So we'll have to see how that evolves in the next video. There's maybe more divisions and stuff. Getting pretty close to Africa being divided up, which is not going to be a positive event. However, we've got another war occurring in Central Asia. There's been a lot of wars in the past few episodes within this area, and we've got another one occurring again. Since this brown one has kind of not been doing some very nice things to the red in the Chinese country. You know, they've got enough problems that it is, at least China does, with some Lime Team troops in their country, and the red teams are struggling with people who don't want to move down south into this relatively horrible area because they need to assimilate all this territory into their actual country. However, these guys said some pretty not nice things. Also, why do you have one major city? You should have more than that. So boom, 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 boom. Right, that's probably quite a lot, but oh well. They might not be keeping them for very long. However, they've said some pretty not nice things, and China's kind of like, right, we're just going to show some of our force. We're going to scare off people who are being annoying in our country, India. Although, they do have pretty good relations with India. India gives them a lot of money, good trading deals, helps their economy, stuff like that. Anyway, the Chinese are going to move into the southern area of this country, kind of based at where this major city is, and the brown team, they've not seen military strength like this before. This is really bad for them. A second offensive is made over here in the east, and it's pretty easy for these guys. Just link up this front line, and yeah, Chinese forces begin to go all across their border and down here. As the red team joins this war, they immediately take this major city and continue to take land across their border before they finally connect up with China, and another country will finally join this war. Being the Baikal nation, they are sending a lot of forces in to manage to capture that major city, and then they go further along in the north and take the entire capital of this country. So they really weren't expecting this amount of force against them. But, you know, they're also defending Baikal, so it's not nice. A lot of people manage to flee to the southern major city, however, Baikal does not care. They will take a lot of this land, before China is going to move in from the east, pushing up from the southern regions to meet up with the Baikal front. The reddish country would also move in, before Baikal manages to take the capital. So let's have a look at this peace treaty. Be pretty interesting. probably. Yeah, Mocha. There's a lot of white on this map at the moment. So, Baikal will be annexing, well, this northern part of the country, along with this pretty huge province area. The red team will take this long stretch of land along here, along with this major city and some other bits and pieces. China will take some of the border provinces because they want to. Also, China is by far the strongest country that was in this war. They are, I think, a top 10 power, and Australia is just going to make them even more powerful. So, be afraid. Yeah, that's my advice to you. Anyway, beyond this, though, is pretty much just like China doesn't want too much land to be taken into their country. They do have to kind of assimilate it all, and they do need to worry about the Indians as well, so they can't spend ages at a conference table sorting out all these new borders and stuff. Need to get back home, get that army back to where it needs to be. So I think this is how I want it to look. The reddish country now has some weird panhandle bit, but it's pretty much alright really. And there we go, Baikal is a lot bigger than they were before. They're pretty huge, they're one of the biggest nations on Earth. I don't know how big they are though, but it's a large country. You can count me on that. And no, I think we do have China up. There we go, there are our new borders for this area. Weird looking red country. I do kind of like the panhandle bit, and Baikal is terrifying. So is China as well. Anyway, was there some other thing that I planned to do in today's episode? I think so. What was that other thing? I remember there was something. Sorry. I'm trying to remember something at this point, but I can't. Oh yeah, Indians will expand their Lime Team colony just slightly down south. Not to say the Indians will expand their Lime Team colony. That was a perfect sentence there. No, I mean they'll expand their Tanzanian colony. Not too much, just a little bit. But you know, gotta put that budget that's not being used on posting loads of soldiers in other countries elsewhere. You know, it's not just that. They've got assassins and spies in all these other countries as well. They're really just trying to control everything that's going on within their sphere. And I mean, their sphere is huge. It goes from like the Eastern Mediterranean, so this bit, basically just all of Asia, and then, yeah, just a load of Africa as well. It is extremely large and terrifying. As they're doing more military excursions within these countries, they're kind of like, oh, there's some group here that I don't like. Let's destroy them, their families and their homes and everything that they've ever liked and had. It's just really brutal within the Chinese country. And it's giving some people ideas. I'm not sure if they're good ideas. However, they are ideas. So I have to see how that pans out. But, yeah. There's not too much free land left in the world. See what effect that has on the world. Moving into the next episode. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. This one's pretty short, but also I want to make them to make them shorter, so then they're easier to watch. Also, there's less expansion and just drawing random borders out. So hopefully they'll be shorter from here. Not too short. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a nice rest of your day. Like, subscribe, and goodbye.